The Beverly Hills Supper Club is the showplace of the nation. Outstanding entertainment nightly in the beautiful cabaret room. Let us plan your wedding or next party. We have 18 party rooms. Only 8 minutes from downtown Cincinnati. Dance to the music of Bill Lane's Beverly Hills Orchestra.
I just flew in from California. Boy, are my arms tired. You know how many people it takes to change a light bulb in California? 30. 1 to turn the bulb, 29 to share the experience.
They are still taking out people who've been injured in this fire, which broke out about 8:30 this evening here at the Beverly Hills Supper Club. And as you can see, here comes a man who's been injured here.
On Saturday, May 28, 1977, a fire at the Beverly Hills Supper Club claimed the lives of 165 persons and injured some 70 others. This Memorial Day weekend tragedy was the second worst multiple death nightclub fire in United States history.
The Beverly Hills Supper Club was completely destroyed in the May 28 fire. This scale model represents what the building looked like before it burned. The building was basically 1 story high, except this front portion, the original part of the club built in 1937, was 2 stories high. An unenclosed curved stairway went from the 1st floor to the 2nd floor. Several additions over the years made it essentially a windowless building covering more than 1.5 acres. The club was not provided with automatic sprinkler protection as required by codes in effect at the time of the fire, nor was there a fire detection or alarm system installed. On the night of the fire, there were more than 2,600 people in the club. More than 1,200 people were in the cabaret room. The room was overcrowded. Aisles were narrow, there were chairs on the aisles and ramps, and tables were close together. Between approximately 8:45 and 8:50 p.m., employees discovered a fire in the unoccupied Zebra Room.
The probable cause of fire in the Zebra Room was electrical in nature. The club had no emergency evacuation plan, and the staff was not trained in fire emergency procedures. Using portable fire extinguishers, they made an unsuccessful effort to put out the fire before notifying the fire department or alerting the patrons. The people in rooms at the front of the club began to leave the building almost simultaneously. Cafe room.
We had just sat down, and a young fellow came in and said there was a fire and we had to leave. So we went through the dining room and got to the lounge area.
Only a few people from the cafe dining room were able to get out the front entrance. Heavy smoke and heat forced the other patrons to turn around, and employees directed them out through the kitchen. The Empire Room.
The guy up on the podium announced there was a small fire in the building and would we please exit out the front.
Many went out the front entrance. The rest were directed through the kitchen door to the loading dock. The Viennese Room.
It seemed like an awful long way to the exit, and all kinds of people were converging out in that hallway from all over, pushing. Some women started to scream. The smoke was kind of thick.
When the front exit became impassable, the people from the Viennese Room went through the kitchen, and some went out the garden room exits. Upstairs, in the crystal rooms.
Before we knew it, smoke just started pouring in from everywhere. In a matter of seconds, we were all gagging and choking.
The unenclosed curved stairs quickly became unusable. Patrons had to leave through the service hall and down through the kitchen. The cabaret room. The 1,200 or so patrons in the cabaret room were the last to be alerted. Smoke and flame entered the room from the main corridor, quickly cutting off all but 2 usable means of escape.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a small fire on the other side of the club. Would you please leave?
I saw smoke coming down into the area on the other side of the room. I looked over my shoulder again, and flames were pouring through that entrance where we came in.
No, not up here on the stage. You can't get out through here.
The people had stopped moving. It just seemed like they were kind of shuffling.
Finally, I saw the door open as I came out. I turned to look, and the people weren't screaming anymore. The smoke had covered them all up.
Our major story this evening, the story of death and Holocaust at Beverly Hills Supper Club south of Newport in northern Kentucky.
I talked to said the place is fully engulfed. The firemen say there's just no question about it. There is no way to control it at this time. It's just all over the building. Having been inside when the announcement was made, there was really no idea how serious the fire was, and consequently most people were filing out slowly, which was good because probably more people would have died had they known that the fire was as severe as it is. As far as how many people are still in the building, we do not know. We keep hearing reports that some rooms have not yet been entered by the firemen and the rescue units. At the bottom of the hill, right near Route 27, there's just ashes way down over here, so you can quite imagine how intense this fire is. The flames are just...
The Beverly Hills Supper Club fire involved every fire department in Campbell County.
Update on the number of people who've been killed in this tragedy out here.
The first call to the fire department was made approximately 15 minutes after the fire was discovered. 24 departments sent ambulance or rescue units to the fire. In all, about 522 firefighters participated in the fire and rescue operations. Approximately 2.5 hours after the first call, firefighters were ordered from the building, and the fire was deemed out of control.
Firstly, the camera can't focus very well on the hill in this light, but every few minutes you see stretchers just coming in. They've laid the bodies out on the hill. It's in the dark, you can't see it, but as they move through the spotlights, we're seeing them just slowly taking them over to the rescue units and eventually down the hill. That's about it. I'll go make
The greatest loss of life occurred in the cabaret room. 99 victims were found near Exit A. 34 victims were found near Exit B. One was pulled out from behind the stage after a hole was battered through the wall. 25 more fatalities were discovered the following morning when firefighters were able to re-enter the building.
The cause of death was determined to be smoke inhalation and acute carbon monoxide intoxication. Some of the fatally injured managed to escape from the building only to collapse and die outside. Panic was not a major factor in the large loss of life.
Those of us in fire protection engineering are constantly referring back to the Coconut Grove fire, which occurred in 1942. In that fire, 492 persons lost their lives, and it resulted in stricter fire prevention codes and standards. It also led to a revision of the Life Safety Code, which specifies the minimum requirements for life safety in structures and buildings.
The Life Safety Code specifies the type of building construction permitted for places of assembly. The Beverly Hills was a Class A place of assembly, but it was made of unprotected, non-combustible construction. This type of construction is not permitted for Class A places of assembly. The interior finish in the main corridor did not meet the requirements of the Life Safety Code and contributed to the rapid spread of fire from the zebra room to the cabaret room.
The Life Safety Code defines occupant load as the number of people that can be safely accommodated in a room or in a building based on the number of exits and their size. The number of people in the cabaret room on the night of the fire was 3 times what that room could safely hold. The total number of people in the club was twice what it could safely hold. From a life safety viewpoint, the club had 2 problems. 1, it did not have the minimum number of exits required by the code. And 2, based on the exits provided, it was overcrowded. In general, the more exits you put into a room or space, the more people you can place into that room. However, exits are more than just doors. Those doors have to lead to a safe place. In most cases, you start with a building that has all the exits needed for safety. But then, a new wing is added, and you lose exits. If care is not taken to ensure proper exits, as more additions are made, more exits are lost until life safety, or the opportunity to get out in case of an emergency, is questionable.
The Beverly Hills Supper Club had numerous and serious deviations from requirements of the Life Safety Code. The reason we investigate fires such as the Beverly Hills is not to establish blame, but to determine what went wrong and what lessons we can learn for the future.
Fire after fire, the lessons are the same. Delayed alarms. No emergency plans. No fire protection. No fire drills. Unsuitable interior finish. Lack of exits. Overcrowding. Blocked exits.
The Coconut Grove fire showed us that fire codes needed to be changed. However, we cannot assume that codes will be complied with just because they are written. If there is a lesson to be remembered from this fire, it is that codes must be enforced. Fire codes, to be effective, must be translated into action.